The month of October, as part of Rotary International, focuses on economic and community development. Agriculture plays a fundamental role in the economic growth of major countries worldwide. However, on St. Martin is a trade that is overlooked as a viable industry for sustainable growth on St. Martin. The Rotary Club of St. Martin Sunset, in promoting and highlighting local economies, decided to focus on agriculture with a few of our local agriculturalists.
Well, blessings to you all and welcome to the garden. For real, we are doing culture. My name, originally that people calls me since I'm a Rastafarian, is Rastuzo Jabash. My real name is Cyril Javois. In school, people call me Miguel, which is my name also. So Miguel Cyril Javois Tuzo Jabash. That's my name. The garden, I would love to give you a full explanation why the garden come about and the true reasons why, because there is also a historical background, facts that stops St. Martin from having agriculture. And somebody had to look and make in-depth research to find out what had this gap of having, not having, and attempted now to restart. So the gap of not having is what concerns us. What happened? When I went back and looked and I checked at the age bracket that I met that was working agriculture, I'm going to explain to you fully. There were a few families who had fundamental, way of living as we black people live, like a husband married to a woman, have children, and I see they grow old and being together. Then I saw another set of women, one having 8 children and 6 men. I questioned that. Another one having 10 children with sometimes 10 men. So I'm a researcher also in history. And when I went down to look at the First World War, what happened to us in the First World War? Some of our people were drafted to go to war. Others were not drafted, but it caused a blockage, a shortage of income, of goods, of needs, wants and needs for the people, because France was involved into First World War. So we were cut off. A lot of our people had to travel to get food. But in between First World War and Second World War, you don't have 30 years. And what we just say again, it repeated itself. Panama was open. Some more people went to Panama. And who would you send? Those who do not know or those who know? Those who know. So our great minds began to migrate. They go to Panama. They go to Cuba, Cotton Keene. They go to Santo Domingo. They go to St. Croix. They go to Aruba, Lago, Curacao, Guadeloupe. My mother went to Guadeloupe. That's why I born in Guadeloupe. But she go to Cotton Keene. So I am a product of the finishing of the slave trade. When you look at what happened, my grandmother, who make my mother, made those in Santo Domingo. So our great minds leave the island, agriculture, mason, carpentry, people in the hill, and who remain had not the knowledge, maybe children who was following daddy and mommy in the mountains, but when daddy and mommy gone now, there's nobody, and most of them travel with their children, and some of them made those children down there. So that gap of nothing remain until I arrive. And when I arrive, who I meet Mr. Dan, I meet Miss Josephine Hop, Lino mother. I meet Miss Josephine, who's Dan's mother also. So you had the mother and the son who already is elders, And I, as a young youth coming up, then from Paul White, you had Mr. Paul White Sr. in Sandegrong, who had a garden also. And there's where I began my garden in Sandegrong in 75. So they used to come by me and give me little instruction about what to do. So from that gap there now, only the Rastafarians began to do agriculture. So the gap of agriculture becomes a problem. Until, like I said again, the Rastafarian come about. I was the first Rastafarian on the island. We lived 7 years in paradise, planting. Had problem with the population because they could not understood what we were, who we were, what we were saying. So we were kind of rejected, neglected, and marginalized. 4 years in paradise, spent 4 years up by the Concordia, the border, and 4 years up here by this Anthony. And now 11 years here going to 12 years. So practically all my life is in the retreat, mountain areas, you know. So now the gap between having agriculture and not having it, we had a meeting with Mr. Louis Constant-Fleming and explained to him that our vegetation is unattended. There's nobody occupying with it. It is flagrantly open to wildness, wild bush. Everything have a meaning, a reason, a purpose. But if you don't find it, then you don't have nothing to work with it with. So we told him that we would love to preserve all our national trees. Preserve them for the generation that is to come, because we suffer it, knowing it because of the elders who did remain. But right now, the children that we made is no longer in the mountains. So by doing this and opening it to the public is a sign of drive-in theater. Do you remember that? This is why it is a drive-in garden. I used to go to drive-in theater and I find it was one marvelous something that they did. You don't need to go in a building, you're just out there in the wilderness, you know. You're hearing crickets and cricket time, but you got your mic in. So the garden is this. Well, it shut down the project on its back completely, and because practically every tree, all the trees, you see how that branch over there break off? Well, all of them would break all around it, and there was no help because everybody had the bundle in front of their own home. So I had to get a chainsaw. It took me 3 days to clear all the old branches from on top of the trees in them. I burned some in the land where I would not be destroying no tree because only trunks would remain. So I burned some there, all what was here, I drag it and I chuck it in a hole down there. All what was close by here, I throw it in a hole there. All what was up so, I burn it on the spot. And then that was it. All I had to do after is get ready to start back because I had hogs, I had cows, I had goats, every fence break down, everybody coming in. I talked to the neighbor, he told me don't worry, he's going to fence off the cows. In 3 days time, he had everything fenced off, so I had no cow problem. Then the goats, it's going to be impossible to fence off the goat because if you see a little hole like that, he's going to tuck his head in and make his whole body pass. So I deal with the in here. When they come in, I just shout at them and they run and they go. But I got to be here 24 and 24. So the goats also, they have an hour. The hour is until 1, 2 o'clock. Then they pen them. So anything after 2 o'clock, I could go somewhere and have my fun. But in the morning time, no, I can't go nowhere. Just a whole year, got to stay here and get it back up. And then you had to work on the garden to eat and drink. So the garden was not a problem because the beds was there and I wasn't planting much underground. But a lot of flood does come and wash away your beds, wash away your stuff. So that's why I deal with rocks, boxes and tires. So with that, it's more easy for me. I'm not at age right now to go and harass myself in the ground. I go through easy process and more income. And that was the first thing. So in, let's say, 3 weeks after the Irma, I was done selling. Thursday does be my main day of weekend. So people who know about it is that. But when the season get more in depth and I begin to produce more stuff, then I would open from Sunday to Friday. Only Saturdays I don't sell. Not open on Saturday. But from Monday to Friday, yes. And the crops that I sell is leaf crop. So beyond 11 o'clock, 11:30 would be the limited time to come and get it. Apart from that, the sun have them stress. So even if you buy the pack that you bought in the morning and it was fresh looking good and you buy it 12:30, 1 o'clock, you're going to see the leaves in them, you know. So time you reach home, it's practically a waste. So I prefer that people call me in the morning. I pick it while it have it live in it. It's not resistant against the heat. And bag it and put it there, and they could come pick it up 5 o'clock, 5:30, no problem. Well, first of all, this is done a contribution already. By doing this, you permit others to know, you permit others to see clear through it, and also those like my brethren, who's the first time he come here, that would permit others to come also who didn't have their first time to come here. But as to tell you, I doesn't really require finance nor money. That's not my purpose here. My purpose is humanitarian. I for the people, and I think the people lack something. So this here is an infrastructure that you can come. You could go with your boyfriend, your husband, your friend, your lover under a tree with a book, with your towel, your tray, your ice box, and you enjoy yourself, you know. So any contribution for me would be infrastructure contribution, you know, like a net, a piece of net, you know, things like that, material things that I need, things like that. But financially, no, I don't.